Last time on Dragon Ball Z, Bardock's squadron survived, escaping the destruction of Vegeta and the evil deeds of Dodoria. Tora leads the way. Crash landing on Namek, the team is adopted by the world. However, turmoil stirs in the ranks as Shugesh rebels against his team. After an arduous fight, the Saiyan is expelled from the planet, leading him to reflect on his life. In the meantime, Tora, Fasha, and Borgos watch as a giant ship belonging to the Cold Empire casts a shadow over the planet Namek. For Bardock! What if Bardock's squad survived? Part 2.
Fasha and Borgos look on in shock as the Frieza mothership appears in the distance. They both can sense that not only Zarbon and Dodoria are there, but also Frieza himself. They are momentarily paralyzed in fear, but Borgos quickly escorts the villagers away to a safe hiding place, while Fasha, a few Namekian warriors, and Murray stay behind to meet the incoming Frieza. Meanwhile, Tora is meditating in another village when suddenly awakens Frieza. He can sense his enormous ki, so he had finally come. Tora curses under his breath for being so foolish as to think that he and his friends could just hide from Frieza forever. Tora starts to tell the village elder, Tsuno, along with the villagers, they need to evacuate to a safe place when he gets stopped by an unknown figure. Back in Murray's village, Frieza, Zarbon, and Dodoria arrive. Immediately, Dodoria recognizes Fasha as one of the Saiyans that tricked him many years ago and stole his ship. Zarbon laughs, mocking him for getting outsmarted by a low-class Saiyan. Before Dodoria and Zarbon can continue arguing, Frieza tells them to be quiet. Murray asks them why they have come here, as Frieza reveals that he's here to collect their Dragon Balls. Fasha is surprised to hear this. She assumed that Frieza came here to kill her and her comrades. Frieza asks Murray if he knows where the Dragon Balls may be. Murray declines. But the Emperor chuckles. One way or another, he will find these wish orbs. In the original, Frieza killed Cargo, Dende's brother, in order to show Murray that he was deadly serious about whatever it takes to learn the location of the Dragon Balls. However, in this story, none of the villagers, except for Namekian warriors and Fasha, have stayed behind. So Dende and Cargo are safe. Fasha steps up, telling the tyrant that he needs to get the hell off the planet, which amuses Frieza. He tells Dodoria to come up and remind her just how terrifying he can be. Dodoria cracks his knuckles and goes right in to fight Fasha. Although Dodoria is quite strong in his own right, Fasha has gotten much more powerful over the years of training with Nail and her comrades for so long. Even so, Dodoria is still slightly stronger than her. As Dodoria goes in for a sucker punch, the other Namekian warriors intervene to even the odds. Just like Fasha, these warrior Namekians have also gotten stronger thanks to their training with the Saiyans. During the battle, Murray notices that these enemies seem to use scouters to communicate between each other and find their power. So him and the other warriors destroy the scouters. Seeing Dodoria now struggling against the combatants, Frieza asks Zarbon to lend a hand, despite Dodoria's protests. Zarbon jumps in and, with his help, him and Dodoria quickly turn the tables on the warriors. They kill the Namekian fighters as Frieza fires a death beam towards Murray. Before he dies, he tells Fasha that the fate of their people is now in their hands. The lieutenants are about to finish off Fasha when out of nowhere a raging Gohan blasts away both Zarbon and Dodoria with a single Masenko. Gohan picks up the injured Fasha as they retreat with Krillin, with Dodoria chasing after them and Frieza searching the village with his men. Zarbon finds the Dragon Ball. It's revealed that one of the soldiers, Cranberry, had hidden himself after seeing the terrifying power of the Namekians and Fasha. As a result, he still has one functional scouter. Back with Tora, it's revealed that the figure that had arrived earlier was Vegeta. Tora kneels before him, calling him King Vegeta, but Vegeta tells him to stand back up, saying that the Saiyan warrior race, along with his father, have been wiped out by an asteroid many years ago. Vegeta says that he's surprised to find another Saiyan in another backwater planet, although it's refreshing to see a low-class Saiyan actually know his place. Earlier, when Vegeta had landed on planet Namek, he was able to sense the ki of not only the Namekians and Frieza soldiers, but also a familiar ki of other Saiyans. This is why Vegeta went to this village before confronting the rest of the Frieza force. Qui was about to intercept Vegeta at the time, but notices that he's heading somewhere in a hurry. He decides to instead follow behind him to see where Vegeta is running off to. Vegeta asks Tora where he could find the Dragon Balls, but the other Saiyan gets quiet. When Vegeta commands him to speak up, Tora stands up and says that the Dragon Balls are only given to those who complete several trials to test their character. Vegeta scoffs, saying that they don't have time for any idiotic trials. since Frieza is on this planet as well. Vegeta threatens Tora, telling him that if he won't tell him where the Dragon Balls are, then he'll simply beat it out of him and the other villagers. In a single motion, Vegeta fires a beam towards a Namekian, but Tora intercepts it, smacking the blast away, surprising Vegeta. Defiantly, Tora states that if Vegeta wants to attack the Namekians, he'll have to go through him first. The prince smirks. In a matter of months, he has run into 2 low-class Saiyans who dare defy their prince. Vegeta and Tora fight. Gohan and Krillin carry out an injured Fasha as they attempt to escape the enraged Dodoria. Thanks to the solar flare from Krillin, the group was able to hide by lowering their power levels. After blasting the nearby islands, Dodoria assumes that they're dead and leaves. Fasha immediately gets off of Krillin and Gohan as the two remark about how odd it is that she knows how to lower her ki. Then they notice a tail. She's a Saiyan, just like Vegeta. This causes Fasha to go from annoyed to shocked. These punks know about the Saiyans. Fasha keeps her questions to herself for now, and she tells the two that she needs to head back to Borgos and the other villagers to make sure that they're safe. However, she's too injured to fly on her own. Reluctantly, she asks Gohan and Krillin for their help in taking her to her friends, but not before threatening to kill them if they ever try to betray her, which makes them both nervous and scared. Fasha tells the two where to go as they travel to a cave far away from the Namekian villagers. There, Fasha, Gohan, and Krillin arrive. As Dende heals Fasha, she tells Borgos that Murray and the Namekian warriors from the village have died, which saddens everyone, especially Borgos. Fasha explains that she'd be dead right now if it wasn't for these two strangers. Gohan and Krillin introduce themselves and tell everyone who they are and why they're here. Borgos and Fasha look at each other. This kid, he's a half Saiyan, and from Earth? That planet sounds familiar. He couldn't be. Could he? Fasha has finished being healed. She stretches a bit and gets a massive Senkai boost. Her power is now a little more incredible than before. It's so much so that for a moment, she wasn't able to hide her ki. Dende and Karu ask her what she's going to do now that she gets to their eye level. She puts a hand on their heads and tells the siblings that she'll make sure that these bad guys are taken out and taken care of. She turns to the group, telling them that she's heading out to hunt down Dodoria, Zarbon, and Frieza. She asks Borgos if she's coming along for the hunt, but he declines, saying that someone needs to stay behind and protect the Namekians. Krillin says he can tag along, and an annoyed Fasha begrudgingly accepts. Fasha and Krillin agree to leave the cave as Gohan stays behind with Borgos and the Namekians. At Frieza's ship, Frieza and Zarbon discuss their plans when Dodoria reappears triumphantly, gloating that he was able to take out the Saiyan woman and her two saviors. Before Dodoria and Zarbon can begin another argument, Cranberry enters the room, revealing that he still has a scouter. Frieza congratulates him on keeping their last remaining scouter safe, as he orders him to leave it behind. Cranberry does so, and Frieza begins to test it out. At this point, the scouter is able to detect 2 power levels flying, both around 18,000. Frieza believes this to be Kui fighting Vegeta, and thinks that the fight could go either way. The scouter is also briefly able to detect Fasha's soaring ki, which completely surprises Frieza. To think there would be such a strong warrior on this planet, Frieza gives the scouter to Zarbon, and orders him and Dodoria to take down whoever that is. As Fasha and Krillin fly out, they sense 2 huge power levels heading towards them, Zarbon and Dodoria. The two land on a nearby island, while Zarbon checks the scouter, noticing that it picked up another energy, Dende, from the same coordinates as the previous energy reading. Zarbon and Dodoria land on the same island as Fasha and Krillin. They stare down a confident Fasha and a nervous Krillin. Zarbon teases Dodoria, joking that he didn't seem to have killed him properly, like he said, which annoys Dodoria. The brute says that he'll have no problem making sure that they're killed for good this time, and he cracks his knuckles. Fasha responds by saying that she's ready for anything now, but Zarbon ignores it, saying that he noticed another power level coming this way, and that he's going to investigate. Fasha and Krillin lunge at Zarbon, preventing him from leaving, but Dodoria gets in the way of both by performing a double lariat. Zarbon quickly flies off to the location registered on the scouter. Meanwhile, Vegeta and Tora's fight continues. Vegeta tried to attack any Namekians he could, but Tora was able to intercept the attacks at every turn. Vegeta is starting to get angry. Was this low-class Saiyan toying with them? It was almost like a repeat of his battle with Kakarot. The Namekians are able to escape as an angry Vegeta asks Tora just how he was able to get this strong. Tora simply replies that he used to be like him, but he learned to appreciate life, training, and fighting for something other than death and destruction. This allowed him to become much stronger than he ever was before. It's at this point where Kui arrives, with Vegeta spitting on the floor, saying out loud that he was wondering how long it would take for him to show his face. Kui asks the prince if he needs any help with his rogue Saiyan, as Vegeta thinks to himself before smirking. He accepts his offer, but only because he wants to see just how strong the Saiyan truly is. Kui and Vegeta launch themselves at Tora, and they're surprised to see that this enemy Saiyan is still able to keep up with them. Tora smiles as he says that it's time he takes this fight it a little more seriously, even with Qui attempting to use his tricks and Vegeta revealing his full power of 24,000. They still can't seem to land a hit on him. It even gets to the point where Qui tries to trick Tora by yelling out that Frieza is right behind them both, but Tora and Vegeta tell Qui to shut up. At one point, Vegeta grabs an injured Qui and throws him at Tora to distract him, as he points his fingers at Qui, causing him to explode at point-blank range of Tora. Qui is killed, but Tora is okay, which shocks Vegeta. Tora appears in front of him, grabbing him by the shoulder and kicking him in the gut. Before Vegeta faints, Tora tells him that he only got this strong by believing in others, by believing in his Namekian family and believing in his squad.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back.
I hope you guys are enjoying the video, and if you like the stuff I do, there's a way you can support the channel. By clicking the membership button, you will be able to see various tiers. Each one of them has some rewards. My personal favorite ones are the Super Saiyan hair badges that adorn your name in comments and live streams on my channel. The longer you stay a member, the larger the power up. So if you like the stuff I do and feel like supporting me in some way, be sure to check out the membership. Anyways, back to the show.
Back to our show.
Dodoria's battle with Fasha and Krillin continued. Krillin was pretty winded, but Fasha was okay. Krillin's solar flare was able to blind Dodoria as Fasha attacks, with the enraged Dodoria declaring that he'll kill them both, slowly. Fasha puts out her hand, telling Krillin to stand back. This is her fight. It's personal. Krillin backs off as Fasha and Dodoria charge at each other. Dodoria and Fasha lock hands in a vicious battle of strength. Dodoria begins to notice that he's getting overpowered by the Saiyan, commenting on how she's not the same Saiyan he knew before. Then, firmly grabbing his hand and crushing them. Dodoria cries out in pain, and Fasha throws him up in the air. Leaping back and landing on all fours, she jumps up in the air, spinning as she slashes his neck, then swiping across his chest in a flurry of blows, shattering his armor. Fasha jumped on his shoulders and launched herself onto the island below, jumping off right before impact, crushing Dodoria with her knee. A large crater forms as the lifeless body of Dodoria lays. That was for her friends. Krillin is in nervous awe and fear. Back in the cave, Gohan is playing with Cargo, Dende, and Borgos when Zarbon appears. Zarbon says that he knew that the other Namekians were here, but he was pleasantly surprised to see just this many. One of them must know where the Dragon Balls are. Gohan gets in the fighting stance, but Borgos puts his hand on Gohan's shoulder. The Saiyan walks towards Zarbon, who flips his hair, saying how repulsive a creature like him is, compared to someone as beautiful as himself. As Zarbon goes in for an attack, Borgos grabs him by the head, punching him in the stomach with a free hand. Zarbon ragdolls out of the cave and towards a mountain. Borgos follows suit. Zarbon curses under his breath. How dare he try to destroy something as beautiful as him. But Borgos doesn't flinch at any of his attacks. Zarbon laughs, saying that he still has one card under his sleeve, transforming into his monstrous self. But Borgos is having none of it. Zarbon goes down quickly. Zarbon attempts one last desperate move as he goes to bear hug Borgos and headbutt him. But this doesn't hurt Borgos. Instead, he looks at the lizard man. Borgos breaks Zarbon's grip, grabbing him by the head. He repeatedly headbutts Zarbon until he's defeated. Borgos jumps back as he charges up a mouth beam, hitting Zarbon point blank. This is the end of him. Meanwhile, at Frieza's ship, Frieza realized that it's been a long time since Dodoria and Zarbon left, so he has no option but to call down the Ginyu Force with some new scouters. How have they been unable to locate any Dragon Balls? Frieza is furious. At this point, Tora, Borgos, and Fasha bring their groups to the Grand Elder's home. Gohan and Krillin are shocked to see that the Saiyans were able to beat Vegeta. Nail comes out of the home and greets his students. Tora, Borgos, and Fasha explain what happened to them and that Frieza had returned. Nail thanks them for saving the people once again and asks that all of them, including Gohan and Krillin, to come inside as the Grand Elder is waiting. The Earthlings meet Guru. He asks Krillin to come forth as he reads his memories, doing the same for Borgos, Tora, and Fasha. The Grand Elder decides that it's finally time to release the Saiyans' true potential, unleashing them to enormous heights. Doing the same for Krillin and Gohan. As everyone begins to plan on their next course of action, they start to feel many Namekians' ki around the world disappear. They feel 5 new ki energies arrive. They are attacking the planet. Vegeta enters the house, sweating, tired, and hurt. The Ginyu Force have arrived. He recognizes them. Nail orders his students to save the remaining Namekians as he stays behind to protect Guru. Fasha tells him that it's suicide. He has no chance against this monster, but Nail smiles at her. saying that it's his sworn duty to protect the Grand Elder. But Fasha won't listen. Nail puts a hand on her shoulder, and he tells her and the others that should he die, it's up to them to become the protectors of planet Namek in his place. It's a tearful goodbye. The Saiyans and the Earthlings leave Guru's home to find the Ginyu Force. The fighters split up on different directions to evacuate the Namekians. They find to their horrors that every single spot had been decimated. Additionally, their Dragon Balls taken, except for one. In the mountain caves where Cargo and Dende were, the kids were able to successfully hide the Dragon Ball from Recoome and Goldo, but not before killing Cargo and leaving Dende to die. Dende was able to heal himself after Krillin and Fasha arrive. He explains what happened, and that the Ginyu Force now have 5 Dragon Balls. Tora and the others have found Ginyu as they were flying towards Frieza's mothership to sneak attack them, kicking Ginyu and Jaice into a nearby island. There, they fly down to meet his glands. He's surprised to see several Saiyans survive, but it's about time they finish what Frieza started. The Ginyu Force play rock, paper, scissors in order to see who goes first, but all of them attack at the same time. The Ginyu Force has no option but to fight all together. The Saiyans have a great disadvantage, especially thanks to Goldo's time stop and Vegeta's injuries. However, the timely arrival of Fasha and Krillin helps swing things a little bit on their end. Borgos versus Recoome, Krillin versus Goldo, Fasha versus Jaice, Gohan versus Birder, and Tora versus Ginyu. Meanwhile, Vegeta is healed by Dende, receiving a Senkai boost and rejoining the fight, landing a fatal sneak attack on Goldo. Krillin joins Borgos in fighting Recoome. Captain Ginyu orders everyone to regroup. With the 4 remaining members of the Ginyu Force together now, they unleash a brutal, quick, and coordinated attack that begins to take out each of the heroes. As Tora lies on the ground, bleeding, Recoome holds him up by the neck. Captain Ginyu asks if he has any last words. Tora is about to say something when he suddenly stops, his eyes moving erratically, looking at something in the distance. He whispers something, which makes Ginyu ask him to speak up. Tora yells out, "Bardock!" As the Ginyu Force is blasted away with a ginormous Kamehameha, Goku has arrived. He says that he doesn't know who they are, but he thanks them for helping out his son and best friend. Borgos and Fasha stare in disbelief, just watching him walk in front of them. Tora is on his knees, hurt, trying to crawl towards Goku, asking for Bardock. But Goku says that he doesn't know anything about rocks. Goku throws a senzu bean at them, splitting it in half so they can heal a little. Goku proceeds to stomp Recoome. Jaice and Birder, all of the Saiyans get healed, pumping up. They watch as Goku dismantles the Ginyu Force, with Vegeta realizing that Frieza's ship is now empty and flying towards it. Tora asks Borgos to follow him, as he tells Fasha that now it's the best time to summon the dragon. She heads back to the Grand Elders to grab one Dragon Ball, and then to the cave to grab the other. Captain Ginyu tries to stop them, but Goku gets in the way. The two switch bodies, with the events playing out more or less as usual. But instead of Vegeta being around, it's Tora. After an arduous fight, Goku gets returned to his body, but is gravely injured. Tora picks him up, and all of them head towards the healing pod on Frieza's ship. At Frieza's mothership, Vegeta and Borgos clear out the remaining Frieza men. The other heroes arrive. As Tora places Goku in the healing pod, he tells him that he reminds him a lot of a man he once knew. After Goku's placed in the pod, he thinks to himself that if they were to survive this, that he'll tell Kakarot about who his father is, about his mother, about his people, because he knew who he was. He was the son of Bardock. Dende and Fasha arrive with the Dragon Balls, with the fighters putting on their new battle armors. For Borgos, Fasha and Tora, this feels strange, yet familiar. They hadn't put on any Frieza Force armor in many years. They approach Vegeta, as Tora begins to tell him about his plan that might be able to take out Frieza. They leave to a nearby clearing, with Dende summoning Purunga. They can all feel Frieza's ki heading their way. Vegeta yells at Dende to give him immortality, but Borgos and Tora hold him off, while Fasha whispers to Dende their wish. The first wish is to revive Piccolo, and the second wish is to bring him to Namek. But right before their third wish is made, Purunga deactivates. The Grand Elder was dead. The Saiyans mourn in silence, but there's no time for that. Frieza arrives. Tora asks Vegeta to stick to their plan, but instead Vegeta launches at Frieza first, declaring himself to be the legendary Super Saiyan. Gohan and Krillin asks what exactly that is, and Borgos explains the legend. Vegeta is losing, so Tora yells at him to do it now. With no other options, Vegeta launches a Power Ball up in the air, telling Gohan, Krillin, and Dende to stay back. Tora, Fasha, and Borgos turn into mighty Oozarus for the first time in many years. After decades of intense physical and mental training, they have been able to overcome their tail weaknesses, and they gamble that this might mean they'll be able to control their Oozaru forms. The gamble pays off, and they are able to control themselves and begin to launch attacks towards Frieza. The Emperor is overwhelmed. He didn't expect this at all. He should have finished the job when he had the chance. However, Frieza transforms into a second state, now much stronger than the Oozarus. Even with the help of Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta, they still aren't enough to deal with Frieza. Frieza blasts away their tails, turning the Saiyans back down to normal. Frieza's getting ready to kill Fasha when all of a sudden he gets knocked away by a Namekian. Piccolo has arrived. Fasha stares at him in disbelief and whispers, "Nail?" Piccolo shakes his head as he takes off his cape. He's no longer the Nail she once knew. In this timeline, Piccolo still finds the dying Nail, who attempted to fight Frieza, and assimilated together. Piccolo fights against second form Frieza as Dende heals everyone else, giving the Saiyans another needed power-up. Frieza transforms into his third state, shooting down Piccolo. The Saiyans arrive to save Piccolo from Frieza. Frieza is very impressed with everyone's increase in power, and Gohan's rage boost allows him to at least knock down third form Frieza. This shocks Tora and the rest of the Saiyans, but there's no time to think about it. Frieza's still alive and reveals that he has one more form left. Everyone rushes in an attempt to stop him from transforming, but the shockwaves resulting from the transformation sends them flying off. Final form Frieza reveals himself with a single blast, killing Dende, but Vegeta declares himself a Super Saiyan, going in to attack, but resulting in a loss. The other Saiyans gang up on Frieza, but simple slaps from his tail send them flying off. In a cruel act, Frieza watches as Borgos and Fasha line up for an attack, and with a flick of his finger, he pierces through both of them. Tora falls to his knees over the body of his friends. It's then when Goku arrives. Frieza remarks on how Goku looks very similar to a Saiyan that attempted to rebel against him and fought alone for his planet. Tora realizes that Frieza must be talking about Bardock, so he really was dead after all. Tora always held that hope that Bardock might have survived. That thought helped him survive all these years. Tora begins to shed a tear and tells Goku about his father, about his mother, and all of the Saiyans. That they were proud warriors and that this monster and his father had their people enslaved for their entire lives. They couldn't be anything more than vicious killers, but he knows that, thanks to Bardock and the Namekians, he knows that the Saiyan people could have been much more if they were just given the chance. He looks at Goku and says that, although he didn't think Vegeta was actually the Super Saiyan, he genuinely believes Kakarot has the potential to be. Tora looks at Kakarot in the eyes. Everything stops for him for a second. Tora realizes that Kakarot had been sent to Earth, that Bardock had saved him, that before any of them realized, Bardock was already seeing good in the Saiyans, that he was tired of all the death and destruction, how the rest of his squad would eventually be too. It's then when Frieza shoots him. He's knocked down, unconscious, but not dead quite yet. Goku looks at the dead bodies of Fasha, Borgos, as Frieza laughs to himself. Goku buries the bodies of the Saiyans, but Frieza is going to attack Goku, who merely slaps the blast away. Goku talks about how he understands that they were killers like Vegeta and did bad things, but that Tora was right. They changed, and their people could have done the same if they were given the chance. Goku looks at the bloodied robes on Tora. As he rips some of it off, he ties the red cloth over his forehead and says that he will be not only avenging the Saiyan race, not only the Namekians, but also Bardock, Tora, Fasha, and all of the Saiyans. Goku and Frieza fight. Vegeta watches in awe through the whole fight. The Genki-Dama eventually takes down Frieza, but he's not dead quite yet. When he reappears on top of the mountain formation, he remarks on how the Saiyans were so weak, they could never kill him. He proceeds to kill Krillin, tries to kill Gohan and Piccolo. It's then when the Super Saiyan legend is achieved. The heat of the aura wakes up Tora, and he looks up, just barely being able to look at Kakarot, but he recognized it instantly. This was the legendary form. This was the Super Saiyan. Tora feels himself being picked up and sees that Vegeta is taking him. Even if Vegeta wants to stay, he knows he doesn't stand a chance, and he admired the Saiyan. He wanted to at least keep him alive. The battle between Frieza and Goku plays out similarly to the original. The Earth's Dragon Balls revive everyone killed by Frieza and his men, including Borgos and Fasha. They look around as their planet is being destroyed, and far away they see a golden aura. Before Porunga's Dragon Balls are used to bring everyone from Namek to Earth, Tora mentions to his friends that he believes that Goku will in fact defeat Frieza. And on Earth, Tora, Borgos, and Fasha reunite with the Namekians as they gather for the passing of the Grand Elder. Murray becomes the new Grand Elder and thanks everyone for their help. He decides that his first act as Grand Elder is to recognize Borgos, Fasha, and Tora for their efforts by making them honorary Namekians. They have been for a while, but decides that it's best to make it official. The Saiyans thank them for this honor and approach Piccolo. All three of them ask if he is Nail, and Piccolo responds that no. He explains what happened to him, and they are all saddened by the news. But Piccolo says that Nail isn't dead, that he continues to live on within him, shooting a smile towards Fasha. The Namekians have all lived on Capsule Corp until Planet Namek and the Dragon Balls are reactivated. The Saiyans enjoyed their time on Earth, and when their Dragon Balls were reactivated, they wished to bring back Krillin and Goku, but Goku is still alive out there somewhere. They try to bring him home, but Goku is busy at the moment. He'll be back soon. Shenron also revives the rest of the Z Fighters. The next time they use the Dragon Balls, they use the wish to bring back Namek and teleport all the Namekians there. Fasha asks Piccolo if he'll be coming with them, and he declines. Fasha stays quiet for a moment, and she's making a decision. She approaches the Namekian and she tells them that she plans on staying on Earth. Tora says that he wants to stay here for a while as well. He wants to be there when Kakarot's son returns. The Namekians understand and give them the blessings. Borgos says goodbye to his friends. He's going to New Namek. That's where his home is. Fasha and Tora say their goodbyes as both get on their hands and knees, telling the Namekians that they saved their lives and that they owe them everything. The Namekians and Borgos leave. Tora decides to live near Mount Pautsu, building a home for himself, while Fasha becomes a nomad. Fasha finds Piccolo in a wasteland. Piccolo asks why she doesn't live in a house with her friend. Fasha says that she doesn't feel comfortable doing that. She misses the blue grass and the green skies of Namek, so she'd rather live in the wastelands here that remind her of her home. Piccolo says that he understands why Tora stayed, but not why she stayed. Fasha sets it simple. Piccolo, or Nail, didn't want to be on Namek, so she didn't want to go either. Fasha says that Nail's death made her realize that she needed to be more true to herself, and says that she misses Nail quite a bit, looking down in sadness, and she recognizes his key within Piccolo. Piccolo blushes and doesn't really understand what she's talking about, but Fasha simply turns to him, saying, "You can't get away from me that easily, Nail." A year and a half later, the Z Fighters all detect something horrible heading towards Earth, something familiar. Frieza was alive, heading towards the planet. Everyone gathered together, ready to fight off Frieza. But a new arrival surprises them, a boy able to turn into a Super Saiyan, who defeats the tyrants. The boy tells them that Goku will be arriving soon. Tora, Fasha, and Vegeta question how this random boy, who doesn't even appear to be a Saiyan, was able to turn into a Super Saiyan. But around the time the boy said Goku would arrive, everyone looks up in shock. Even the boy is shocked. Instead of a single space pod, it's a larger spaceship arriving on Earth. Everyone gets into a battle stance, not knowing what to expect, when Goku steps out in his yard rat clothing with another person. Behind him comes out Shugesh. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This part 2 of What If Bardock's Squad Survived was mostly written by my good friend, Professor Chimp. He did a fantastic job with this, and he helped me out get this one faster than I usually would, because I know a lot of you guys were looking forward to this one, and I was just trying to fit it in with school and other videos and work and all that stuff. If you haven't yet, be sure to check out the last video I did, which was What If Goku and Vegeta Went into GT Part 3. The finale. Leave in the comments down below any what ifs you would like me to cover, as always. And shout out to the Super Saiyan Legend members of the channel: Anthony Note, Dragon Hell Z, Rav, and Zachary Croy. Thank you so much for the support, you guys, and welcome to all the new members of the channel. The Dragon Ball question of the week this week is, who is your favorite between the two? Super Saiyan Blue or Super Saiyan 4? And tell me why. Leave it in the comments down below and start a discussion. Also, thank you Omak for his help in editing this video. Anyways guys, until we meet again. See ya!
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to SmugStick, unless you want to be destroyed. Lord Beerus, that's hardly fair. But also, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when he uploads new videos.